Consider Genesis 1 verse 27, where Scripture declares that God created humanity in His own image. The Hebrew term here, tselem, goes beyond a mere flat likeness or mirror reflection. It points to a tangible, representative form, a living embodiment that reflects the Creator's essence and authority in the physical realm. When we explore the earliest biblical contexts, ancient records, and scientific findings on human origins, a compelling picture comes into focus. The initial humans, those first bearers of God's image, emerged with dark skin in the cradle of humanity, the African continent. Fossils such as those from Jebel Irhoud in Morocco, dated around 300,000 years ago, along with others like Omo Kaibish in Ethiopia around 195,000 years ago, combined with genetic studies tracing mitochondrial DNA to African roots, affirm this origin. This isn't about promoting superiority or stirring conflict. Every ethnicity and culture holds infinite value in God's sight. Rather, it's about reclaiming a perspective long obscured by historical biases and theological distortions imposed during eras of domination. Grasping the Creator's original intent reshapes how we approach Scripture, prophecy, identity, and our shared future. The Bible frequently notes physical descriptions, not as trivial details but as meaningful indicators. It mentions Moses' Cushite, Ethiopian, wife in Numbers 12:1, describes Solomon as dark and lovely in Song of Songs, and highlights the Ethiopian eunuch's early conversion in Acts 8. These aren't incidental, they serve as signposts to a broader divine narrative. In the time ahead, we won't linger on familiar tales of hardship or injustice, vital as they are. Instead, we'll recover a stolen sense of vocation, a hidden mission, and a forgotten destiny. Too often, discussions of race and faith center on victimhood and adversity. While those truths demand acknowledgement, they don't capture the full narrative. The core message is intentional design. Your melanin, your features, your lineage aren't flaws to overcome but elements to celebrate, linking you to a heritage of rulers, visionaries, spiritual leaders, and foundational builders of society. We'll follow that heritage from Eden's garden to heaven's throne, seeing yourself not as history's casualty, but as part of God's triumphant design. The Bible isn't a European-centered text about European figures and experiences. It's rooted in African and Middle Eastern realities, authored by people of Semitic and African descent, reflecting encounters with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who shared dark-skinned, regional traits rather than later European ideals. Restoring this context brings clarity. Purpose arises from suffering, direction from disorientation, and hope from deception. This is biblical fidelity, not cultural trend-following. The supporting evidence, from archaeology to genetics to historical theology, is robust and transformative. Start with Genesis 1:27's core claim: humanity as God's physical representatives on Earth. The archaeological timeline shows early humans arising in Africa with dark skin, broad features, and curly hair, facts backed by fossils, DNA, and scholarship. This suggests the first image-bearers, including Adam and Eve, carried traits more aligned with African peoples than later European ones. As descendants spread, they bore the original human template. This ties into a priestly vocation echoing through time. Exodus 19 verse 6 calls Israel a kingdom of priests, yet this echoes an earlier mandate for all humanity. The Hebrew Kohen denotes mediation between God and creation. Biblical figures of African descent often embody this. Melchizedek, the priest-king who blessed Abraham, Genesis 14, with some early traditions linking him to Ethiopian-like appearance. Moses, raised in Egypt, married to a Cushite woman from regions of Ethiopia/Sudan, the Queen of Sheba, whose wisdom-seeking Jesus praised, Matthew 12 verse 42, and the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts 8, an influential official whose baptism helped plant Christianity early in Africa. Early church history reinforces this. Influential figures like Tertullian, Cyprian, Augustine of North African heritage, and Clement of Alexandria shaped doctrine profoundly. Some connected darker skin to divine protection and spiritual endurance. Further back, the Kushite kingdom in ancient Sudan/Ethiopia wielded power for over a millennium, ruling Egypt in the 25th dynasty, erecting pyramids, advancing technology, and earning praise from historians like Herodotus for justice and longevity. Biblical worship elements, call and response, rhythm, instruments, mirror African praise styles. Psalm 68 verse 31 prophesies Ethiopia stretching hands to God, fulfilled in ancient Ethiopian Christianity, modern African growth, and diaspora traditions that preserved hope through song during oppression. Jesus' genealogy in Matthew 1 includes diverse ethnic ties, Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, underscoring a multicultural redemption plan. Colonial powers distorted this narrative, Europeanizing depictions, theology, and geography, turning liberation faith into tools of control. Yet Scripture foretold such distortions, Daniel 7 verse 25, Revelation 12's protected woman, with ultimate restoration for all nations before God's throne. Your heritage connects to resilient faith, expressive worship, justice cries, Amos 5 verse 24, and bread-producing labor, both literal and spiritual. From African soil rich in minerals came humanity's form, infused with divine breath for endurance in God's presence, as seen in Moses' radiant face or the eunuch's insight into suffering. This counters false doctrines like the twisted curse of Ham. Genesis 9 curses Canaan for servitude, not Ham or skin color. The slavery link emerged later to justify exploitation, refuted by Christ's redemption in Galatians 3 verse 13. Modern genetics debunks racial hierarchies. Scripture speaks of tribes and nations, not biological races. Jesus, a Middle Eastern Jew with Semitic features, championed the oppressed. The Black church tradition reclaimed biblical liberation, fueling movements from spirituals to civil rights. You aren't meant for mere survival but glory, dominion, excellence, Isaiah 60 verse 1, Ephesians 2 verse 10. Your ancestors built empires, Kush, Mali, Great Zimbabwe, Ethiopia. Descendants continue impacting fields worldwide when barriers fall. Awaken to this. Your God's intentional masterpiece, Poema, equipped uniquely for kingdom impact. Reject survival mindsets. Embrace dominion. Arise, your light has come.